The European Championships in Germany is just around the corner, and Scotland take on the host nation in the opening game on June 14th, 8 PM UK time. We have had an amazing qualification campaign, with highs of beating Spain at Hampden and watching Rodri cry about the grass being wet, beating Erling Haaland's Norway out in Oslo with that Kenny McLean finish in the bottom corner. We've had our lows with Scott McTominay's goal being ruled out for offside and ending in a couple of draws with Georgia and Norway in Hampden. But by then the job was already done. Scotland had already qualified and made back-to-back tournaments for the first time since the 90s. This is going to be my team selection from Steve Clarke's provisional 28-man squad, and having a look at see who should be getting the minutes in the upcoming friendlies against Gibraltar and Finland, which we will be doing live watch-alongs on this channel, so make sure to subscribe and come and join in. Let me know who makes your starting 11 and who you think might be dead weight in that 28-man squad, and who are the 2 players you might think be getting cut. We do have a little bit of an issue with right back, but I do believe that we do have a team in there that might get us out of the group. You never know, we might even make it the whole way to the semis. So let's have a look at the squad selection to see who I think should be starting against Germany, although this has got an asterisk beside it in case some players impress me in the upcoming friendlies. So let's have a look at the squad. I'm absolutely buzzing to be back making these videos because Scotland have deserved this for such a long time after that tragic night in Hampden when we lost to Ukraine. But we are here, we are back, it's Scotland time, we're going to go to Germany. It is an absolute wild party. Let's go. No Scotland, no party. So here is the provisional squad that Steve Clarke has picked. 4 goalkeepers. That's one of them is going to be dead weight because one of them's not even going to get a minute if they do go out to Germany. I do think Liam Kelly is going to be cut there. Angus Gunn's obviously played a lot of minutes for us so far. Craig Gordon brings the experience, and Zander Clark has had an absolute cracking year for Hearts, bringing them to 3rd, and are going to be going into the European qualification spots. I think that Liam Kelly, you're not going to be offering as much, unfortunately, and I think bringing 4 goalkeepers is just a little bit too much. That's where I honestly have my issues with it straight away. Moving into the defenders, not any major shocks here apart from the fact that Max Johnson, who's a cracking right back out in Austria, stopping Salzburg from winning the league, does not make it. That's a little bit of a shock to me. Ross McCrory getting a call up as well. Be good to see him get some minutes in the friendlies. Whether he makes the starting 11 against Germany, I don't know. Probably not, in my opinion. But realistically, we have our usual suspects in here, and I'm happy enough to see that. Anthony Ralston's going to have to just be playing every minute at right back, because he's our only real choice in there. Moving into midfielders, not that many shocks in here, apart from the fact that Ryan Jacks made it. I didn't think he was good enough at Rangers this season, and obviously looking at players like John McGinn, who are now going to be playing Champions League football for Aston Villa, is fantastic. Stuart Armstrong in the Championship, maybe that position could have went to somewhere else because they weren't doing that great, and we do have some other midfield options in there. Ryan Christie, as we know, can obviously play up front as well as more of a false 9 situation or out in the wing, but realistically it is probably right that he does make it. Stuart Armstrong, Billy Gilmore, cracking season at Brighton, one of their brighter players, hey, pun, but they haven't really had the best season either in terms of what they've done the previous one, but Billy Gilmore's definitely a shoe-in because we know what he can do for Scotland. Callum McGregor, Kenny McLean, Scott McTominay, all fantastic. Kenny McLean I don't think will make the starting 11, but we know how he performs with Scotland. If you can remember that goal against Norway, fantastic player when it comes to it for Scotland. He lays everything down on the line, and Callum McGregor, as we know, scored our only goal in the last Euros. Bit of a shocker that, but he is absolutely unbelievable, probably one of our best players in midfield, and the Celtic captain himself. Moving into our forwards here, we do have some shocks. Now we have Ben Doak, who making the starting 11, I don't think so against Germany, but against Finland and Gibraltar, get that wee man some minutes and see what he can do, because if he can put on a performance against them, there's a good chance he does start against Germany, but he has to impress first. He's not had any minutes since December, which is a big shock for the fact that Steve Clarke picked him, but we must see something in him for someone that young. Born in 2005, and that makes me feel so old, but I would love to see him get minutes. But if he doesn't really quite get there, he's one of the players I would consider dropping, but he's not my number one choice. I do think he's probably better to make the squad to offer something different, because I hear he is rapid, and the one I would drop from this point forward is probably James Forrest. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the man. He's fantastic. He's had a great end to the season. He's going to be bringing experience. But you can't play 90 minutes. And against teams like Germany and Switzerland, out in that heat, because yes, it is heat in the summer holidays in Germany, can he do it then? Now, prove me wrong, I'll eat my hat. But I just don't think you've got the legs for it anymore. You're one of my all-time favourite players. I just don't think you're there. I don't see where you would start in that squad, because it's been so many years out. It's not going to be as easy for you to slide back in. And as well as you've had so many injuries, I do think that you will be the ones that are dropped. Now, that doesn't mean I don't appreciate everything you've ever done, and I want to say thank you. I just don't see where you fit in our current system. Lawrence Shanklin, great season at Hearts, deserves to go. Will he start? Maybe not. We'll move into the starting 11 in just a minute. But so far, so good with the players. I do think it'll be Liam Kelly and James Forrest that don't go through. And that's not to say they're not good. I just think having 4 keepers is a bit much. And I don't think James Forrest has got the legs. Maybe bring the experience. Maybe Ryan Jack drops as well. That would be my other choice, just based on the fact that he's not really brought much for Scotland in years, and never really playing full 90 minutes and quite injury prone. But that's who I would pick to drop so far. So let's move into who I think is going to be our starting 11 against Germany. And let me put a little bit of asterisk beside that. That is unless someone absolutely impresses me, like Ben Doak, in these upcoming friendlies. This is who I think our best starting 11 is to put out against Germany. So let's get into it. So this is who I think should be the starting 11. Let me know down below if you would make any changes, but I'm fairly happy with this team, and I do think we might be able to get a result against Switzerland and Hungary. I'm not keeping my hopes up for Germany, but we might actually have some major surprises. In goal is going to be Angus Gunn. He's been a great servant for us in recent months. I do think you can make an argument for Zander Clark in his season for Hearts, but I do think Angus Gunn has just had a little bit more game time for Scotland recently, and I would be much prefer him. I'd feel more comfortable with him in goal. Next two are very obvious ones. We have Andy Robertson and Tierney, and there's not really much argument for their positions. They're absolutely crucial for us in all of our big matches, and when both of them play, you can actually see a massive difference in the results for us. It's whenever we actually start to see the injury problems, we don't do too well, but for them two, that's pretty much their solid positions. No one can really argue with that. Moving in the middle, we have Jack Hendry, scored a wonder goal for us against Ireland, although it's just an easier header, but I'm just trying to big him up. He's very solid at the back. I'm very impressed with what he does for Scotland right now, as well as Ryan Porteous. I know a lot of people out there don't like him and say there's a mistake in him, but you need that little bit of grit and anger in the Euros. I'd definitely put money on him to get a yellow card at some point in the Euros, but he is ferocious at the back, and we really need that sort of bite. Over to the most controversial position, which is Anthony Ralston. Personally, I'm not happy that we have to rely on him. He's a great player. He's only 25, but with the injury problems we do have at right back, we have had a lot of setbacks in that position. Max Johnson from the Austrian League is at Stram he plays for. I think he would have been a much better choice, had a lot of game time and beat Salzburg to the Austrian title, a team that Haaland used to play for. But in terms of the right back options we've got, he's definitely my preferred choice in that position. Moving into the middle, we've got McTominay. I think he's such a shoe-in. Man United's best player this year, and don't listen to what anyone else says. They would have struggled without him. His goals secured them top half of the table, moving down from third. He was brilliant for them, and he gets a lot of grip from Man United fans, but he's really been fantastic. He's been one of the main men, and I would not want him not going to Germany for us. Respect where it's due. The boy does put on a performance for Scotland. Doesn't matter where he's put to play for, he will put his hardest in there. Right beside him, an easier choice with Callum McGregor, crucial in Celtic's win of the title this year. Fantastic servant for Scotland. Got our only goal in the last Euros. How many more years we get out of him, I don't know yet, but so far so good. I don't think anyone can really argue that he deserves a spot in there. You could put Billy Gilmore in there, and you'll see that he doesn't make my starting 11 based just on performances so far. You could drop McTominay into centre back and maybe take out Porteous, but McTominay scored so many goals for us. He just sort of, as long as he's on the pitch, he'll do well. But I would much prefer these two in there so far. Billy Gilmore can come on as a sub, or if we get an injury or nothing like that. But I would feel more comfortable with these two in the middle of the park. On the right hand side, well, it's not really right wing either. It's just a little bit more of an advanced forward. Ryan Christie had a great season for Bournemouth, although he should have been sent off against Arsenal, but hey ho, we'll let that one slide. He's been brilliant. He's been one of the main men at Bournemouth, and they've had such an overperforming season, and he really deserves a spot in the starting 11. He did drop off for a couple of years there, since the last Euros, since that game against Serbia, but he's put himself back in the table. You can't really argue that he deserves that spot. On slightly to the left, it's more of an attacking mid-role, but I know he can play there. We have John McGinn, and you just need him on the pitch. He's captain Villa, they're in Champions League. Nobody doesn't want John McGinn on their team. He's probably playing a little bit out of position, but realistically, the man deserves to be on the pitch. I do think, just based on the squad selection that we've got out of the 28-man squad, this is sort of the best one we can get in terms of starting 11. But as I've said, if you've got any issues with it, please let me know in the comments down below. Who would you change and swap about? And up front, probably one of the most debatable positions, because there were some players who didn't even get picked for striker. We've got the likes of James Forrest, who would obviously play in the right-hand side of the wing. But who would you start between Che Adams, Lyndon Dykes, and Lawrence Shankland? Who have I gone for? Drum roll. I have went for Shankland. I do think that his goals have just been incredible this season for Hearts. He scores some absolute bangers too, but one of the big things that we have with him is I don't think Lyndon Dykes has scored enough. He is amazing for Route 1 football, and that does give us an options off the bench for him, and Che Adams is a bit lightning, but I don't think both of them had their best seasons. They've been good, and probably just above average and good, but I think Lawrence Shankland deserves a shout, although I'm putting an asterisk beside his name. If Ben Doak, who has had no minutes since December for Liverpool, comes out in these two friendlies and bags loads of goals, there's no reason why he can't take that position. And I know that'll rub a lot of people up the long way. I don't care, it's my opinion. I honestly think that with the age he is, and if he is as beast as people think he is, he could really be such a surprise for us. Born in 2005, I feel so old, look, like chatting about a wee guy this age, and he can do this. But I honestly think that that's the best chance we've got. But for now, he hasn't done anything to impress me. I'm going to go with Lawrence Shankland. But there's a couple of people there you can see they swap and turn about. But that is going to be my starting 11. If you do have any issues or any comments, please leave them down below. I will reply to every single one of you. Let me know who your starting 11 is. And remember to make sure to subscribe. I will be doing my predictions video of every game in the Euros to see where Scotland will finish. And remember that I will be doing live watch-alongs for every one of the friendlies and every match that we compete in the Euros. That's all for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like if you're new. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.